doing? Come on, a little louder than that. It's still quite early, right? Everyone feeling good? Yeah, there you go. Listen, it's great to be here. And on behalf of everyone at Visa, we're really excited to be partnering with the team here to bring this together, put this together. It's an exciting time in not only our industry, but it's an exciting time across all of the industries that we've been working in and helping our partners on. This whole idea, this whole time of digital transformation is disrupting every industry you can think of. Whether it's retail, financial services, hospitality, there is a large disruption happening. And the goal that we have to really think about is how do we best serve the client? Because if you guys today think about how your client interacts with you, think of every way they interact with you, think of every way they could interact with you, that gap, if not addressed, will make your loyal customers today your former customers tomorrow. And what we have seen is the advancements in technology is really driving a much faster click, a much faster clock speed in innovation. Advancements in cloud technology, advancements in mobile, what we're doing around data. I've just heard from the last couple of sessions a lot of talk about big data. We'll keep that going and we'll talk a little bit about it today as well. But all of these advancements are really driven by one thing. This is the age of the customer. The customer is in the driving seat. The customer will decide who is successful and who isn't. And that's all going to be based on new levels of convenience that we all have to work together to deliver. So when we think about the new norm, when we think about the disruption through technology, the disruption through innovation, we're going to talk about a number of areas. But first, let me talk about what I think is probably the original FinTech. When I think about Visa, over the last 60 years, Visa had to re-establish itself, had to transform itself to ensure we deliver the right levels of convenience from all of our clients. We had to ensure as retail changed that we could satisfy the needs of the cardholder. We had to ensure that we were delivering the right level of convenience for our partners, our traditional partners, issuers, acquirers, merchants, that they could deliver a great experience for their guests, for their customers. In fact, over the last 60 years or so, we got quite successful and we got to a place where we have north of 3.4 billion cards in play, transacting or processing approximately 65,000 transactions a second, accepted in 44 million merchants. But the problem was still, we're really tied to the grid. Electronic payments really tied to the grid, and as such, we are very successful in many areas, but there's still a large area of the planet that we want to light up. Well, that opportunity is really here because of the advancements in technology. As we see more and more connected devices, in fact, by 2020, we'll see 21 billion connected devices. The way we think about it is that's 21 billion ways to pay. I want to use my wearable to pay, my fridge to order and pay, my car to be able to be a payment instrument. And in order to do that, we have a number of elements that we have to deliver upon that we're going to talk about today. But if we do it and do it really successful, well, then the opportunity to light up the rest of the planet is huge. That opportunity is approximately $17 trillion. So if all of you guys are FinTechs here and are thinking about what your opportunity is, $17 trillion. Specifically in AP, it's $6.1 trillion. That's our opportunity. Driving digital, increasing our strategic partnerships, financial inclusion, $6.1 trillion. We're going to talk about three things today. We're going to talk about patterns in data and the age of cognitive. We're going to talk about making technology invisible and removing it out of the way of the consumer. And we're going to talk about co-creation, connecting to the network. If you think about retail, for example, in a co-created world, they started off with a single channel, then moved to a multi-channel, and then they start driving towards an omni-channel across brands. Well, that is the true future, an omni-channel across brands, where we can all work together to best satisfy the client. And in order to bring these three elements together, I'm just going to give you a very simple example about how these three elements together can change the customer experience. It's not a monolithic change. It's a continuous enhancement. So I'm going to talk a little bit for a moment just about my regular morning. You know, usually I get up at 5 a.m. My family gets up about 5:30. We spend about 30 minutes talking, having a spot of breakfast. And then at 6 o'clock, I head to work. 10 minutes down the road, I usually stop off at a local coffee shop. And I go in and I'll order my coffee. It's a grande, non-fat, no foam, one pump vanilla latte. You know it's true, right? No one else orders that, right? But Monday to Friday, I go in, I queue up, I order my coffee, I pay for my coffee, I get down to the other end of the counter, and I get my coffee. Altogether, it takes about 15 minutes. But think about even all of the friction in that. Think about the patterns. Monday to Friday, I order a coffee. I order the same coffee. I do it at the same time. I pay for it. I wait for it 15 minutes. Imagine we could take the friction out of that. Imagine we could understand the patterns in the data. I don't want to order ahead for a coffee. I want them to know I'm on my way. Imagine my wearable, my car, actually alerts the coffee shop that Paul is after leaving his house. Don't make the coffee straight away for two reasons. One, I want it to be piping hot, and it's still 10 minutes out. Two, that they want a higher probability that I'm going to get there. 5 minutes out, they start making the coffee. Why? Because they got a second alert, and the alert said that I turned right to the coffee shop as opposed to left. If I turn left, I'm going to the airport and I'm here in Hong Kong, so don't make the coffee. If I turn right, I'm going to the coffee shop. So they go and make that coffee. I get there, my geolocator tells them I'm there, my digital wallet basically pays for that coffee, I pick it up and I go. What was 15 minutes is now 15 seconds. Small, tiny changes that are now enhancing the customer experience. Not a big monolithic change, but small changes. Three areas we're going to talk about. The first one is embracing cognitive in the age of cognitive. So we heard a lot about, there's a lot of data apparently on the planet. Everyone has heard of big data, right? Anybody? Okay, about 2 or 3 people, that's great. Let me just tell the rest about big data, just a little bit. So today there's about 4 zettabytes of data on the planet. 4 zettabytes of data. A zettabyte of data is 10 to the 21. That's, if anyone still counts in DVDs, is approximately 1 zettabyte of data is approximately 250 billion DVDs. 90% of that data has been generated in the last 2 years. The vast majority of that data is connected to an IP address. My wearable, my phone, this room, I come out here, I interact with all of your devices, all generating data. And what we have to do about that data is understand the patterns in that data. And if we can understand the patterns in that data, then we can start predicting. If we can start predicting, we can provide a much richer experience for our clients. Problem is, not everybody understands how to effectively utilize the data in order to drive the right experience for their clients. If you can't drive the right experience for your clients, the problem that you end up having is that you could become the digital prey as opposed to digital predator. It's extremely important to understand that experience, and for all of us, companies are looking for partners to help them drive the right customer experience for this. So an opportunity for all of us is to help these companies understand the needs of their clients, the needs of their customers, and be able to best satisfy it. By the year 2020, there will be 44 zettabytes of data on the planet. Today, 4, 2020, 44. 44 zettabytes of data is approximately 480 times, or 480 million printed copies of the National Library of China. It's a lot of data. The goal is to understand those patterns. And how do we understand the patterns? By utilizing things such as machine learning. It sounds simple, but for a machine to try and understand what's fried chicken and a puppy is it's really difficult. So we have to make sure that we're driving the right algorithms to allow machine learning to kick in, to understand, to predict, to help us predict. And if we can do that, we can drive a very rich experience. But just like with Visa, for all of you guys, our top priority is the security of that data. We have to ensure we're only allowing the right people to access the data at any time. Really important. If we lose trust in our clients, we've lost it. So again, understanding the data, understanding the patterns, and making sure we have the right access. Second area is really all about making technology invisible, putting it to the back. I'll give you an example. I'm going to a hotel, because I travel quite a bit. I was at a hotel, and they asked me, did I want a digital key? And I thought, fantastic, the digital key. They're just going to send me a key to my phone. I'm going to walk up to my room. I'm going to wave it in front of my room. The door is automatically going to open. It's a great experience. But they also said, hey, by the way, here's the regular plastic key just in case. Now, straight away, I'm thinking, just in case? I mean, you're have to tell me about this great new experience. So I got up to my room. By the way, they put me on the 10th floor. If they knew my patrons, they would have known that I like to be on the 4th floor, furthest away from the elevator. I took out my phone. I waved it in front of the room. Nothing happened. I waved it again. Nothing happened. I took out the plastic key, waved it in front. Nothing happened. Went back down 10 floors, back to the check-in again. And I said, well, you had to be connected to the Wi-Fi for your mobile device to work. They never told me. Oh, and if you use your mobile device and it doesn't work, it deactivates your room key. That's a really bad experience. That's where you start off with something amazing, and I got really excited about it, but they put technology in the way. They overthought it, and it ended up being a really bad experience. Now, the card is a great piece of tech. I don't have to think when I'm traveling that I have to go to the bureau de change. I don't have to think about getting traveler's checks. I got my passport, I got my card, and I'm good to go. But even that, in the digital age, we had to enhance. We had to ensure it becomes ubiquitous around every aspect of life. Making sure it becomes a seamless, friction-free offering through every aspect. And today we're even thinking about, what do we have to do to even enhance that? Because when you deliver a fantastic experience, it becomes a masterpiece. Everybody knows the girl with the pearl earring, right? Look what happens when you put technology in the way. It's just a bad experience. So ensuring that we move that technology to the background and deliver a great experience for a client is paramount. Ensuring that we can deliver that experience in whatever format they want, through whatever device that they want. Having my fridge understand my consumption of products. Having my fridge being able to order ahead for me. Having my fridge being able to pay for me. And I don't have to think about it. It's just a great experience. We're seeing this also within retail, where I can stand in front of the mirror and see what other clotheslines I may want to see, what different colors I may want. Really important. Going into stores where I can actually go and pick up whatever product that I needed. And I don't have to think about the line at the till. Again, great experience. This is all about the completion of a transaction based on a geolocation. And we are thinking about this all the time. How do we enhance it? How do we make this experience even richer for our clients? Let me show you a quick video that really looks at what we believe is the future of that experience. Being able to take the patterns within the data, being able to move technology to the background so it's not in the way, and being able to co-create.
Dan, Lauren is coming home a day early. She'll see you tonight at 6 p.m.
Schedule maid service for immediately.
Purchase complete. Shaving cream delivery in progress. Dan, your meeting starts in 20 minutes. Moving. Payment pushed to squeaky clean. Analyzing refrigerator. I've made recommendations based on past purchases. Purchase complete with card on file. The new Classic Navy is available now in your size. Imagine has rewarded you with 25% off at Lotus. $25% off, loyalty code applied.
It's a nice world, right? Well, to get to that world, we have to work on the third area. And that area is co-creation. It's essential. No one organization has the answer end to end. We have to work together in order to satisfy the client's needs. And even here at Visa, we've been spending a lot of time thinking about how do we go and better do that? How do we enable this innovation at a faster clock speed? How do we move from a closed and proprietary model, where we had everything from the customer experiences and the services and the core data, and how do we open that up to enable our traditional partners, banks, merchants, to utilize and go faster? But how do we also enable FinTechs? How do we enable the 12,000 FinTechs around the planet to be able to deliver new levels of convenience for the clients? When you think about just the FinTechs, in the last few years, this $36 billion of capital investment 23% of all fintechs are really tied around payments. We got to understand how can we actually enable them to drive a richer experience. We got to understand how can we deliver against this ecosystem. And one of the areas that we've been really thinking about is how do we just open up VisaNet? So we've done it. We've opened up VisaNet and provided capabilities to all of you, to all of our partners globally, to utilize our offerings. We delivered the platform that allows for you guys to utilize our APIs around payment, around risk and fraud and data, around biometrics, identity, for you to build new capabilities on. Because it's really important to allow the whole ecosystem to move. You know, one partner that we've been working with closely is Pulse ID. Really to enable them to utilize some of our capabilities, such as the Visa Merchant Offer Resource Center, so that they can make offers available based on geolocation. Based on where I am, they can make an offer. A great, great experience, and they utilize this by taking our API and putting it into their Catalyst product and driving a rich experience. Or Freedom working with NAB to really simplify travel and expense management. You know, utilizing, you know, our B2B virtual account payment. A great experience again, and simplifying all of that expense management solution. But it's not just, hey, let's open up the platform, and the platform is really the underpinning of what we're doing. But it's, hey, how do we actually work closely with you? So we've opened up approximately 9 innovation centers and studios around the planet. And we bring in partners and clients so we can actually innovate together, ideate together. How we can co-create offerings. In fact, when we opened the Innovation Center in Singapore in April 2016, we have now thousands of clients after going through there, delivering new solutions. It's really, really important. Let me tell you about one of those. We had a company called Honda that said that they had 2 use cases that they wanted to enact for their drivers. One is parking, finding parking, and using the car to actually be the payment for it. And the second one was petrol, pulling up to the petrol pump, enabling the car to choose the petrol pump, choose the grade of petrol, and actually pay for it. And we're still trying to figure out how do we get the nozzle from the pump into the car, but I'm sure there's an API for that. But again, these use cases are really starting to drive that customer experience. Not monolithic changes, just continuous improvements. In doing that, we can start thinking about how do we drive a richer experience, a financial inclusion across the planet. How do we use things like mobile payments to enable countries that didn't have the infrastructure to join in the electronic payments? As I said, the opportunity globally is 17 trillion. Just in this region alone, 6.1 trillion. What you guys have to think about as you leave this conference, are you defining the future, or are you waiting for the future? If you're defining the future, you have a higher probability of being a digital leader. If you're waiting, well, we've seen that story before. If you're waiting, you have a higher probability of being digital prey. So we've got a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to invite Ellie up to the stage and let her introduce herself and probably take a couple of questions. I see all the hands going up to ask questions. Hold back, wait a minute. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. I'm Ellie Page. I'm the Global Director for RFI Group. We do market research and strategic insights in financial services. And I'm delighted to be able to sit down with Paul and ask you some questions after your fantastic presentation. Please, let's sit. So, I'm going to throw some stats out there first because I'd like to get your view on this region. In our latest research, we see that 21% of Hong Kong residents, 19% of Singaporeans have used a FinTech already. This is continuing at a really rapid pace. For China and India, that's hovering around 80%, and a lot of this is driven by payments. You travel the world in your role. What do you see as the different opportunities in Asia compared to perhaps the US or Europe?
Sure. Look, the way I see it is that this region is just a hive of innovation. The pace of which this region is delivering new services and offerings for clients is probably, they're moving at a faster click.
Yeah.
And our goal is really to ensure that we can enable them to keep up that pace. And we've spent a lot of time working with a lot of local fintechs and working with even a lot of traditional partners as well to make sure that we're delivering the right capabilities that they're looking for. We're hearing more around cross-border and travel and how can we deliver on solutions to enable a richer experience around cross-border and travel. So we have some APIs and capabilities wrapped around that. We're hearing about digital issuance and how can we do this instant issuance, because people, they don't want to wait till the card arrives.
No,
they want it
they
now.
want it
They
right
want to
there
start
and then.
spending.
Yeah.
And again, that's just another area for us to play in, and we're actually driving towards that. Delivering, as I said, predictive models around data is also an area that we've spent a lot of time on, and that's really how do we take product data, customer data. How do we take social data and tie that together to actually start understanding sentiment, ontology, and driving then outputs? And really, they're probably some of the top areas that we're hearing or we're driving against.
So there's obviously a lot of technical capability, and you've just run us through that on the Visa developer platform, which is incredible and great for fintechs here in the room to get involved in and get linked into. Thinking about those kind of softer skills that Visa offers, you're a global company.
Sure.
What else can you help fintechs to understand when it comes to seeking out partnerships, collaboration, market knowledge, that kind of stuff?
So there's a number of elements that we have in play, such as the Visa Everywhere initiative, which is really just this competition that we actually run to allow fintechs to come together and start competing to deliver new capabilities for third parties. And not only do they compete on that, and there's a 25,000 or more in the prize, but we also bring them in front of clients as well. And show so they can show their wares, and that to me is probably a huge offering that they have. So we kind of help them through that, help them with business plans, etc. We also have the Visa Ready program, and that's really to help third parties to become, in essence, certified, right? That they can hit the right security standards, et cetera, that we're putting in play. So again, it's just to help them through that process. And I talked about the innovation centers, of which we've got about 9 around the globe. But all of that is really underpinned on this platform. And those capabilities that we're driving through. And remember, when we deliver this platform, it's not there's an API. We actually put a lot of documentation around that API so that they understand exactly the capabilities and what they can actually do to leverage it. We give them sandbox that they can actually go and play with and see how it would work within the experience that they're trying to drive. And then we help them through the certification right out into production. So, we kind of do handhold a lot all the way through. But fintechs or partners just move at the pace that they want to move at, which is great.
Yeah, fantastic. And you mentioned in your presentation about that there are companies out there looking for partners to help them deliver better experiences to their customers. So apart from digital hotel room keys, what are the pain points or are there key pain points out there, key industries which are offer richer rewards, I guess, to fintechs or established players? Where do you see
I
that?
mean, look, it depends on, one, it depends on regions, depends on what area the business they're in. So, you know, retailers are trying to see how can they make their stores, their, you know, more personalized. If you think about 2017, there was approximately 8,600 stores that closed. Which is an absolutely huge number for retailers. And what they're looking to do is, how do we can drive the same personalized experience as we have online right into the store? How do we make the store relevant again? What areas should we be doing and working against? And one thing that we're kind of thinking about is, how do we, again, remove friction out of payments to make that a richer experience? I'll give you an example. My wife goes into I won't name the brand, but goes into this brand, and when I've gone a couple of times with her. I think I go to hold the bags really, because she goes into this brand, they show her some stuff, and we walk out. She doesn't go to the, you know, to the till or anything like that. We just walk out, and they actually have just a card on file. They know. Now later on we see the, you know, the receipt, and kind of like it's a bit of a surprise, but you know, the experience is amazing, right? So that's retail. You know, if you think about banks, what they're trying to do is they're trying to move also at a much richer pace. They're also trying to see, how do we stay relevant as well and sticky to our cardholders. So they're looking for, you know, partners to help them with some of those areas. I mean, for example, if you think about the UK and PSD2 and open banking, what we're doing over there, you know, there's a huge opportunity to utilize the data in a really rich way.
Yeah. You mentioned banks then, so there's lots of fintechs in the room. There's a number of banks as well. What advice would you give to banks with their large corporate culture when working with fintechs? Is there, in your experience, have you come across sort of best practices or challenges that we face?
The way I would start off is I'd embrace, right? There is a co-creation to deliver the right offerings for their clients. Is how do we you know, best work together to deliver the right offerings? You know, for fintechs, start off with, from a bank's perspective, start off with maybe their innovation departments. Start there to offer some capabilities, and then move inwards from there. But we're seeing a lot of fintechs and banks working really closely together. Again, they know they both have to satisfy the client's need.
Excellent. So one last question for you, because I like to ask this kind of question to people who get to travel the world and do fantastic things.
Sure.
What's the best thing about your role at Visa? What keeps you inspired? What gets you up every morning?
Talking to you, obviously. No, doing this. I mean, I'm really lucky. I said there's 12,000 fintechs around the planet. I get the chance to meet a lot of them all the time, right? I work with some absolutely amazing teams that are delivering some real great capabilities within Visa. And then also external to Visa, I get the chance to work with some amazing organizations and companies. And they're all just eager and wanting to satisfy client needs. So, I mean, it doesn't get any better. It's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you, and thank you for a fantastic presentation.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Thanks
Appreciate
so much,
it. It was great.